Well, like generally when you hear England, you think of like what we'd say like a posh or fancy Southern England accent, like Queen's English, like banana on the grass, and like it's really drawn out with hard A's and stuff. Our mission's not really like that. You've got Liverpool, which I can't even really do the accent, but it's like Shechen and all sorts of things like that. Where in Manchester, it's not so much like that. It's like I'm from Manchester, me, and they use a lot of like slang, like they say mate, like in Australian. A lot of the lingo is like rubbish. It's not a trunk or like the hood of a car. It's the boot and the bonnet. A lot of different words that it just takes time, but you're gonna have to learn. And as well, like one of the hardest adjustments missionaries have in the mission is that we have like extra dignified language where generally we don't say words like cool, guy, or awesome. We don't say crap because that'll offend English people. Tip for when you go over there, if you're ever going to do peace sign, do this because this is flipping people off in England. So that's something my photo album full of pictures like this and stuff with my friends. Yeah, I had to change those pictures because it's offensive and no one tells you that when you go out. So that's just something neat to know. But basically, depending on where you serve will be the accent. Like Stoke-on-Trent, which is like the Newcastle zone in the south, their accent's completely different to Carlisle. Carlisle's like a mix of Cumbrian and Scottish, which just is confusing. And in Wales, they have a Welsh accent, or they speak Welsh. And it doesn't, so it really depends on where you go. It's completely different. There's a lot of different accents. It's one of the nice things about England, but confusing as well. For your first week, you might not even understand the people. So you'll hear a lot of like people be like, "Oh, cheers," and "Thanks for that." Like cheers is just a way to say thank you. Oh, I'm trying to think what are like some proper is like an adjective you use, like, "Oh, that was proper good," or thanks for that proper meal. It's really strange how it's used, but you just kind of pick it up and over time you go with it. From the top of my head, I can't think of any like expressions or whatever that we'd use all the time, but brilliant, that's one. It'd always be like, "Oh, brilliant," things like that. It's just different adjectives and way of describing things. And when you get there, you'll get a big binder, and in the front of the binder there's like 3 pages of different words, like what you're used to saying in England or what you're used to saying from, I guess you'd say, American. There are a lot of Americans in the mission or whatever, to English. And so it all depends on where you learned English, or if you're learning English, it just helps you to know what to say in England. So